Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, July 12th, and this is our morning drive live. So, over the weekend, up until this morning, I received 3 messages from 3 different office managers / dental employees telling me that they were wrongfully terminated from their position. And I don't know what's going on, but the 3 messages all said the same thing. And that was they were terminated for altering a ledger. And in all 3 cases, they all said they didn't alter the ledger, and there are no passwords to log into their practice management system. So you just open up Dentrix, type in your name or your user ID, and hit OK, and there's no password required to log in, and you get right in as that person. Now, each person is assigned different user rights, so different levels of security access to be able to change things, delete things, remove things, edit things, add things, so on and so forth. But what is the point of setting up those different security settings if nobody has a password? If the doctor's login ID can do everything, they're an administrator on the account with the power to do everything that there is to do in your practice management software, and that person's login has no password, anybody can log in as that person and make changes, can do anything. And this is what is happening, and this is what the problem is. This is what's going on with these messages that I'm getting from people who have been terminated from their position for something they didn't do. And, I am making the choice to believe that they didn't do it because the way their messages were written, I believe they didn't. So, let's start with this. If you work in an office where there are no passwords required to log into the practice management software, go to the Facebook group for your practice management software, whether that is Open Dental, Dentrix, EagleSoft, Curve Hero, whatever it may be. Go to that software's website and find out how to create a password for yourself. Okay, my company, we do remote billing. One of the things we do is remote billing for dental offices all over the country. If we're setting up the installation, getting ready to start the process with a new client, and there are no passwords to log into their practice management software, we will not accept them as a client. This needs to be something you are asking at an interview when you are looking for a position, when you are interviewing for another job. Are passwords required on your Dentrix, on your EagleSoft, on your Curve, Curve they are no matter what, on your Open Dental? Does each employee have their own login? If the answer is no, either share with them why that's important or don't take the job, because there's too many people getting blamed for things and there's no accountability. It is a HIPAA requirement. It's not one of those addressable things that you can come up with a reason why it's okay not to do it. It is a required function of your practice management software in every medical facility in the country, including dental offices, to have each user have a unique login and password, and the password can only be known to that person, not to the owner, not to the manager, not to your boss or your boss's boss or your corporate office or whoever. Nobody can know that password except for you. And that is by design. There is a reason for it, and the reason for it is accountability. So when somebody messes something up, when somebody makes a mistake, when somebody maliciously deletes information, when somebody accesses information that they should not have the ability to see, it needs to be trackable and it needs to be identifiable. And this is the reason why every single person has to have a unique login and password to your practice management software. It's not an option, it is an absolute requirement. And I'm telling you right now, the 3 people who messaged me over the weekend, well, 2 over the weekend, 1 this morning, telling me they were fired for something they didn't do, and the company was using the practice management tracking to identify who made the mistake, who deleted the information. I am not playing around with. I am going to tell them, immediately report it to the Office of Civil Rights. It is a HIPAA violation. It is something that is mandatory. And like I said, immediately report the office to the Office of Civil Rights for violating HIPAA standards. There is no legal ground to stand on. Now, if you're an owner, if you're a doctor, there is no legal ground for you to stand on if you do not have each person with a separate, unique login and password for your practice management software. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. You know, we've talked about this a lot before, and I'm sure we will talk about it again. But it's definitely something that needs to be said, and people need to understand why this is important. So that is it. I am here. Sorry, I'm a little aggravated by this today, but it just continues to happen when people know the rules and choose not to follow them, and it drives me nuts. So I am here. Everybody have a great day. I will see you guys tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, July 13th, and this is our morning drive live. Coming to you this morning from Charlotte, North Carolina. On my way to a client's office this morning, and we're just getting ready to head out of the hotel and head over to the client's office. And I just wanted to pop on quick, do a drive live here from the courtyard of the hotel. So I want to talk today about the non-covered services laws and the difference between what they are. I know we've talked a little bit about this before, but I see there's still some questions about it. So, first of all, let me start by saying in the group files, there is a chart that breaks down what the non-covered services law is per state. And basically, there's 3 different versions. There is the first version, which is the state actually has the least, or we have the least number of states that follow this one. And that law says if the insurance company doesn't pay for anything towards the service, they don't get to dictate treatment or dictate the charge, sorry. The second one, and this is the most popular one, is what we call the never ever rule. And that means if it's never, ever covered, no matter what, on that plan, then you are charging your UCR, your full office fee. If it is covered, but subject to a contract clause, then you would charge the fee schedule or the insurance company allowed amount. What those contract clauses are annual maximums, missing tooth clauses, frequency limitations, any contractual clause, an age limitation, any clause that says we would normally pay for this, it's a covered benefit of the plan, but we're not going to pay for it because of this contract clause. Then you charge in the never ever states, then you charge your allowed fee, the fee schedule allowed fee from the insurance company instead of your UCR. And then the last type of states are the states that have no rule regarding that. And those states, and there are a few of them, there are states where it's pending, but there are a few. And in those states, there's no law. So actually, the insurance company gets to dictate what the fee is. So if there's no law in your state, and make sure you check the chart in the group files, if there is no law in your state, then the insurance company dictates what the allowed fee is. So you'll have to get the EOB before you know if you're going to be allowed to charge your full fee or if you're going to charge the insurance allowed fee. So, that chart is in the group files. We are with a client and on the road today, but when I get to my hotel tonight, it's going to be later this evening. When I get back to my hotel tonight, I will make sure that I post a link to that chart in the comments of this video. And I'll also post it for the weekly compilation. I will post it on the YouTube video in the description as well. But, just want to clarify that. So, please remember with the never ever rule, if it's never ever covered. So if you have a patient with a preventative only plan and they're getting a crown, that is never covered by the plan. So you charge your office UCR in states with the never ever rule. If it's covered, but there's a 7-year frequency and the patient had one 6 years ago that you're replacing, then you're going to charge the allowed fee because it's covered but not payable due to a frequency limitation. Annual maximums, waiting periods, age limitations. This is one where people get slipped up in those never ever states. A couple years ago, they changed the fluoride codes, and there is no more adult fluoride and child fluoride. It's just fluoride. There's either varnish or there's everything else. So now, if a patient has fluoride coverage up to age 16 and you're doing fluoride on a 45-year-old, it is a covered service that's not payable due to an age limitation, and they're going to pay your allowed fee for that fluoride, not your full fee. So hopefully that cleared it up a little bit for people. Like I said, I saw we're having questions about it in the group, so I wanted it to be something that I addressed this morning. So we are getting ready to take off, head over to the client's office, enjoying the beautiful weather here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Everybody have a fantastic day. I will see you guys tomorrow from the road again. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, July 14th, and this is our morning drive live. So, got a request yesterday in the group to talk about billing insurance for employees, their families, so on and so forth. So I thought, while I was traveling yesterday, wasn't really great to respond. Didn't get back home until very late last night. So, I apologize if over the past 2 days you've posted in the group and I haven't responded. It's because I've been traveling. But I'm going to be working my way through everything from the past 48 hours or so today. But I wanted to address the billing insurance for employees and their families thing today as our morning drive live video. So, the question was, is it a state-by-state rule? Is it a federal rule? But let's talk first about billing for that. So, as we know, you are not allowed under both federal and all 50 states' laws. You are not allowed to bill insured patients differently than you bill uninsured patients. That is the main reason why when we submit a claim to the insurance company, we put our office UCR, because that is the fee that cash patients pay. Now, if we are charging cash patients $1,200 for a crown, but giving them a $100 discount, so cash patients really pay $1,100, but we're still submitting $1,200 on the claim form, you are guilty of overbilling the insurance company according to all 50 states' insurance laws. Where that comes into play is how you treat people of the same class in your office. An employee would be considered a special class of patient in your office. So, if you have an in-house employee discount plan that, let's say, covers the first $1,000 worth of work a year, and there is absolutely no charge to the patient/employee for that first $1,000 worth of work, that plan, that discount agreement between you and your employees becomes the primary insurance plan. Even though it's not insurance, it's the primary plan for your employees, which means if you have an employee without insurance and they get a prophy, exam, and 4 bite wings, and their fee for that is $0. If you do a prophy, exam, and 4 bite wings on a patient, on an employee with insurance, let's say they have dental insurance through their spouse or whatever it may be, the fee that you are charging that employee because of your in-office discount agreement, your in-office benefit to your employees, the fee you are charging them is $0. So that would be the fee that you would submit on the claim form to the insurance company. You would submit it, you would still submit that you did a prophy, exam, and 4 bite wings. You would just submit it with a $0 fee on the claim form. Depending on the clearinghouse you use, you may have to print and mail it, because some clearinghouses do not allow for $0 fees on a claim. If that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do. Let's say an employee needs a crown, and your agreement with them is you're an employee, so you only pay the lab cost for the crown. So now, let's say your lab cost is $150 for a crown. You do the crown on the employee/patient. they pay you $150 for the lab fee. That's for an uninsured employee. If you have an employee that has insurance and you're doing a crown on them and you're charging them $150, you're going to put the $150 as the fee for the 2740 or the 2752 or whatever crown you do. That $150 lab fee is the fee for that crown. So you would submit the 2740 with a fee of $150. If the employee has 50% coverage and we'll assume they have met their deductible, then the employee will pay $75 and the insurance company will pay $75. They'll each share 50-50 with the $150 fee, and you've collected your $150. The employee with insurance has paid $75 out of pocket. Their insurance has paid $75. That's $150. Your uninsured employee paid $150 out of their pocket for the lab bill. That's $150, and that's the way it is. Now, as far as addressing is this a federal rule? Is this a state-by-state rule? Whatever one that may be. This is the insurance laws in all 50 states. So it is state by state, but it's one thing that all 50 states share in common is the overbilling and the charging of uninsured versus insured patients differently. You cannot, in any one of the 50 states, inflate the price of something just because a patient has insurance. Now, it is important to remember, because a lot of people will say, well, in medical they can, and medical has a waiver. Medical insurance, the federal government doesn't really consider insurance, it's its own thing. Dental insurance is still grouped in with homeowners insurance and auto insurance and renter's insurance and all the other kind of insurances. So medical has an exemption because they're not really considered part of the insurance bracket that we are by the federal government. So hopefully that makes sense. That clears up at least a little bit for everybody who asked. Stormy, I hope you get this and I have answered your question. If not, feel free to reach out. But I am here. Everybody have a great day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, July 15th, and this is our morning drive live. I want to talk today about secondary insurances again, because it's a very popular topic and something that I think continues to provide some confusion for people. So, let me start by saying dealing with secondaries doesn't really have to be as complicated as it seems, or, as people sometimes make it. I think sometimes we get caught up in our own mind and we make things more difficult than they have to be. But with that said, in the group files, there is a spreadsheet that we actually spent a very long time working on in my office to get the formulas right and everything. And it will automatically calculate your adjustment and your patient portions for patients with insurance. So please be sure you take a look at that. You download that spreadsheet. You are welcome to use it. As much as you like. It is free. It is in the group files. But with that being said, the way it works and how that spreadsheet does the calculations is basically like this. When a patient has two insurance plans, whether you are in or out of network with them, I mean, listen, if you're out of network with both, the patient at the end of the day is going to owe whatever the insurance companies together didn't pay to match to equal your UCR, your regular full office fee. So that's super easy. That's the way, if you're completely out of network, if you're a fee for service office, if you're an out of network office, the patient is always going to be balance billed up to your UCR no matter what. So that's an easy calculation. Where there's a lot of confusion is when you are in network with one or both of the plans. And it doesn't have to be that confusing. Let's say you are out of network with the primary, but you are in network with the secondary. A lot of people will just automatically charge or put on the ledger the secondary allowed fee. But sometimes that can result in either a credit balance or a balance for the patient if things aren't being submitted properly. So, again, we'll go back to we are out of network with the primary, we are in network with the secondary. Patient comes in for a filling. Our full office fee is $200. We submit it to the primary. The primary allows 120, pays 80% of that, which would be $96. And now the patient still has a patient portion of the $200 fee, office fee, minus 96, so the patient's going to owe 104. But now we submit it to the secondary, and the secondary allows $150. And remember, we're in network with the secondary. The secondary does not coordinate benefits, which means it pays as though it's the primary. So now the secondary is paying $120. $120 because it does not coordinate, plus the 96 that we got paid from the primary. We're actually now collected $216 for something that our full office fee is $200. And a lot of people will say, well, I have to give the patient that credit. Number one, the patient only has right now a $16 credit, because when a patient has two plans, you are allowed to collect up to your full office fee, even if you are in network with both, as long as the patient has no out-of-pocket. So if the patient has no out-of-pocket expense, you can collect up to your full fee or the combination of the two insurance payments together. Now, if the patient has an out-of-pocket, you are only allowed to collect up to the lowest in-network allowance. So, hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Now, the other thing I hear is, well, we're in network with both. The primary paid their full allowance. They paid it. It was a prophy exam and bite wings. The primary paid it at 100%. We're not even going to submit it to secondary. Well, let me say, number one, if you are in network with both, you have a contractual obligation to submit it to the secondary. This is why if you're an office that's in network with everybody and you say, we only submit to primaries, we don't submit to secondaries or tertiaries, you're not allowed to do that. You're in network. Your contract says you will submit all claims for all services provided. And even if the primary paid their full in-network allowance, you still should submit it to the secondary for a few reasons. Number one, you never know. There may be a plan that does not have a non-duplication of services clause, which means the secondary is going to pay more on it. So you might actually be able to collect up to your full fee rather than doing an adjustment. The other reason for doing it is because you want that secondary to have history. You want that secondary to have the history of the services provided, whether it's a cleaning, whether it's a filling, whether it is a crown. You want them to have that history, because if for some reason the primary gets canceled, maybe the employer lays the employee off, it's the subscriber of the primary. Now that secondary becomes their primary. If they don't have history for those things, you may not be able to get coverage for them. So, that is something that is very important for people to remember, is that even if the primary pays in full, still submit it to the secondary, because you never know. You may get paid more, and you want that secondary to have the history of the services provided. So, please remember, when you're doing these calculations, use the spreadsheet that is in the group files. If you're watching this on YouTube, join the Dental Billing, Coding, and Insurance Academy group on Facebook. You get access to that spreadsheet that will automatically calculate all of your adjustments and patient portions based on primary and secondary allowances and payments. So that is it. I am here. Everybody have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. It is Friday, July 16th, and this is our morning drive live. I want to talk today about why all of the sudden it seems like we are getting so many random and weird information requests from insurance companies. So somebody had posted in the group last night that they billed out for an implant and a surgical guide, and they got a request for the lab bill for the surgical guide, and they needed to provide the bill for the implant placement, or for the implant, and wondering why all of a sudden this is happening. And then somebody else commented with, yeah, we got a request for a copy of the lab bill for a crown that we did. And unfortunately, the reason this is happening and is increasing, because we submit claims and do billing for offices all over the country, and the reason this is happening is because a very small percentage of dentists are billing out incorrectly / fraudulently in order to recoup the low reimbursement rates. They feel that it's justified because the insurance reimburses so low for certain procedures that it's impossible to be profitable at those low reimbursement rates. So they are upcharging, they are fraudulently billing to make up the difference on what they're losing by being in network and accepting those in network fees. And, what that is causing is the insurance companies to have to be the big brother, to have to watch over everything we are doing, because they're the ones with the numbers. They're the ones, in addition to the patient, they are the ones being ripped off, for lack of a better term, because that's exactly what it is. So they have turned into, oh, you did a full porcelain crown, prove it. Oh, you did a high noble full metal crown, prove it. We want to see the lab bill. We want to see the report from the lab, the contents list showing what kind of crown you did. We want to see the lab bill that says you were charged, you used a surgical guide. Because so many dentists, and again, it's a small percentage, but it adds up quick, are billing for a surgical guide, but never actually using one. Are billing for a high noble crown and doing a low noble crown instead. And like I said, it is a small percentage. However, it happens. And what you have to understand is the insurance companies have numbers that they look at. That is what insurance companies do, is they look at numbers. They analyze everything. And when they see this happening in certain zip codes, in certain demographics, that is what triggers you, who, may work in an office where everything is 100% above board, everything is done legally and ethically and properly, but you're still getting those requests. It's only because you fit into some indicator that it could be going on. Those indicators can vary from another, two dentists in your surrounding zip codes were caught doing it. Or it could be a demographic analysis based on the demographics of the area that your office is in. Or it could be based on you do a similar number of procedures that another dentist who was found to be doing this was found out, and because your practice fits within the mold of a similar practice to theirs, now you're going to get that request because you fit the image. It's really, honestly, the best word for it is profiling. They are profiling us, but it's legal, it's allowed, because they're monitoring the numbers. And if you're submitting the claim, whether you are in or out of network, if you are submitting the claim to them and they request more information, you have to provide it. That's another important thing for people to remember is, a lot of offices will say, well, we're out of network. Thank God we don't have to deal with all these rules. But if you are submitting the claim, if you want the patient to get paid and not be mad at you, you have to provide the information. If not, then the patient, the money responsibility, the financial responsibility falls onto the patient because you're out of network, so you just bill the patient. And the patient calls the insurance company screaming, saying, why didn't you pay? The insurance company tells the patient, we requested a copy of the lab bill from your dentist. They never sent it to us. That's why we're not paying on the claim. And then your patient calls you, and their first thought is either going to be, you don't know what you're doing, you messed up, you don't know how to submit claims to their insurance to get them reimbursed or to get the claim paid, or you're purposely trying to hide something. And that's the impression that the insurance company will sometimes very subtly and sometimes very not so subtly give to the patient when they call, is that, we requested it, your dentist refused to provide it. I wonder why. And that raises doubt and really does interfere in the relationship between you and your patients. But it's because the insurance company is requesting very specific information. And if you fail to provide it, that really does fall on you. So, hopefully everybody understands why the insurance companies are requesting this information. It's a pain in the neck. It's something we unfortunately have to deal with. And, before I go for the weekend, what I will leave you with is this. Every day somebody posts in the group or messages me and says, I work in an office, we do this, we do this, we do this. I know it's not allowed. I know it's not legal. I know it's immoral. What do I do? And I always say, turn them in. If every employee who knew their dentist was breaking the rules first confronted them, asked them to stop, informed them of the rule, and then the dentist still refuses, turn them in, because that's the only way we're going to get rid of that very small percentage of dentists that do these things and make all the rest of us look bad and make all of our jobs that much harder. So that is it. Everybody have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you guys on Monday.